Number one, I was on the floor of the House yesterday, and my name is captured as a member absent. Grateful if that is corrected. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mention the name for avoidance of doubt, please.
Abdul-Aziz Mohammed, number one, on page 6.
Most grateful.
Honorable Abdul-Aziz Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute to the motion asking this House to thank His Excellency the President for the delivery of the State of the Nation address. Mr. Speaker, if for nothing at all, what the President did was to give meaning to Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I couldn't have agreed more with the President when he commended President Mahama for his sterling conduct during the transition period. President Akufo-Addo, in page 2 of his State of the Nation address, sorry, I think I'll get it, don't worry.
Continue. You should have checked it.
Mr. Speaker, President Akufo-Addo had some good words for His Excellency President Mahama about his sterling performance during the transition process. Right from the very moment that President Mahama entered into the Ghanaian politics and governance, he has demonstrated that he is not just an astute politician, but also a true Democrat and a true patriot. I can see the same electoral events in 2020. President Nana Akufo-Addo was so happy that President Mahama handed over smoothly to him. I am very much convinced that in 2020, we will record the same electoral event. When that happens in 2020, President Akufo-Addo should emulate the shining example of President Mahama. Mr. Speaker, the State of the Nation address across the globe, including Ghana, since 1993, is a major platform for governments to state its major policy positions and changes if there is any. President Akufo-Addo failed to take the opportunity to announce to this House and for that matter the Ghanaian public what his policy position is on very critical issues of national development. My senior colleague had earlier stated that President Nanado was extremely quiet on his foreign policy. Ghana is a member of the sub-regional body ECOWAS, a member of the AU, a member of the UN. Ghana is a signatory to several treaties and protocols. I'm very convinced that very soon, President Nanado will be appointing his ministers. And yet, he was very quiet on Ghana's foreign policy framework. This is a man who has held the foreign ministry of our country for several years. Mr. Speaker, not just the issue on the foreign affairs, on the issue of youth and sports.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I defer to trying to draw your attention to the Honorable Member for Ifutu on the point of order.
Very well. Honorable Member for Ifutu.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, with respect, page 12, yes. Mr. Speaker, with respect, at page 12, Mr. Speaker, the issue of foreign policy was addressed by Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, specifically on ECOWAS. Mr. Speaker, it was addressed. So I don't see the reason why, Mr. Speaker, if I may go to page 12, the third paragraph. I will start from the third paragraph. It says that we will improve the state of combat readiness of our armed forces by improving logistical infrastructure. The next paragraph, Mr. Speaker, I bring you greetings from the Gambia, where I was a guest the last inauguration ceremony of President Barrow. Ghana should always take its membership of ECOWAS seriously, as its viability advances our national interest. Mr. Speaker, if the President of the Republic appears before this House to say that we should take our membership of ECOWAS serious, what more must he say on foreign policy regarding the sub-region?
Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I still maintain my position that President Nana Addo was extremely quiet on foreign policy. Reporting on happenings in Gambia cannot be our foreign policy. In fact, no wonder that planting food for jobs has become our foreign policy. Mr. Speaker, not just the issue of foreign policy. President Akufo-Addo was again very quiet on youth and sports. Majority of the Ghanaian public are within the youth brackets. President Nana Addo did not even dedicate one line of his State of the Nation address to the House and, for that matter, the Ghanaian public to address the issue of youth and sports. If there is one thing that unites us in this country, that is sports. President Akufo-Addo was very silent on it. In fact, he did not tell us what he would do to promote the lesser-known sporting activities. Soccer, which is our greatest...
Honorable member for Lejokuku.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I rise on a point of order, Order 92(1)A. Mr. Speaker, my colleague from the other side said the President never made even one statement on youth and sports. I want to address him to a particular portion of the State of the Nation address. We talked about measures that will be put in place to create jobs. Please, you don't have to talk about football and boxing before you can hear that someone is talking about youth and sports. The major beneficiaries of the jobs agenda are supposed to be the youth of this country. So I want to let him know that the Youth and Sports Ministry does not only take care of sports, but youth as well. And the President spent a significant portion of the speech to talk about measures that will be put in place to address the issue of unemployment, which is the single biggest problem facing the youth of this country today. Grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, continue. You have 2 minutes more. You have 2 minutes, so please proceed quickly.
Jobs are not just for only the youth of our country. I still maintain my position that President Nana Akufo-Addo was very silent on the issue of youth and sports. He was again very silent on culture, tourism, and the creative arts industry. The arts and the creative industry offers job opportunities to the teeming youth of this country. President Nana Akufo-Addo was extremely silent on that one again. Mr. Speaker, environment, science, and technology, ICT, he was quiet. We all know the important role of ICT in our national development. President Akufo-Addo was again quiet on that issue. On the issue that President Nana Akufo-Addo spoke to, he barely scratched those issues. He barely scratched them. For instance, when he spoke about the health, the paragraph where he addressed health, the only policy statement that he talked about was national health insurance. For goodness sake, health is not just health insurance. There was no commitment to the training of our health professionals. What plans do we have to train nurses and doctors, their deployment and how to retain them? He was very quiet. On the issue of education, all that the President succeeded in saying was the introduction of the free senior high school. It was nothing but a repetition of party proposals. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the President speaking to Parliament should be remarkably different from the President as a candidate addressing a rally at Metagona. I think that President Nana Addo missed the opportunity to speak to the core issues that relate to the national development of this country. With these few words, I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Item listed for questions. Honorable Member for MION.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Health when the Ministry would upgrade the Sang Health Center into a district hospital to improve health service delivery in the MION constituency. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is government's policy to provide every district with a district hospital as a first referral point at the district level. The ministry is aware that the Sang Health Center is currently the facility serving as a district hospital in the district. This district, Mr. Speaker, has been ranked 9th in the Northern region to be provided with a new district hospital. And this has been captured in the Ministry of Health's Capital Investment Plan. The construction will commence as soon as funds are secured. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Minister, are you in the process of securing funds for such a project?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in collaboration with the Minister of Finance, we are sourcing for funding to try to work towards achieving what government has put down as policy to provide a district hospital for each district.
Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister, even as a health center, the Sang Health Center should have at least 5 medical assistants. As we speak, not even a single medical assistant is at post. What efforts can you put in place to get them at least 3 medical assistants to run the facility?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the ministry is in the process of trying to recruit and post some newly inducted medical officers as well as medical assistants. Mr. Speaker, we are looking at the situation where we are trying to provide at least 1 for each of the health centers. And I want to believe that the Human Resource Division of the ministry will work towards ensuring that SAM also benefits from this package. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want the Minister to give a deadline, a date specific, when a health assistant would be posted to the facility, because that is the only referral center for the entire district. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very much afraid this deadline will be very difficult for me to give at the moment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question. Thank you very much. Item listed for questions. Honorable Member for MION.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Health when the ministry would upgrade the Sang Health Center into a district hospital to improve health service delivery in the MION constituency. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is government's policy to provide every district with a district hospital as a first referral point at the district level. The ministry is aware that the Sang Health Center is currently the facility 7 as a district hospital in the district. This district, Mr. Speaker, has been ranked 9th in the Northern region to be provided with a new district hospital. And this has been captured in the Ministry of Health's Capital Investment Plan. The construction will commence as soon as funds are secured. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Minister, are you in the process of securing funds for such a project?
Honourable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, we are sourcing for funding to try to work towards achieving what government has put down as policy to provide a district hospital for each district.
Honourable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister, even as a health center, the Sang Health Center should have at least 5 medical assistants. As we speak, not even a single medical assistant is at post. What efforts can you put in place to get them at least 3 medical assistants to run the facility?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the ministry is in the process of trying to recruit and post some newly inducted medical officers as well as medical assistants. Mr. Speaker, we are looking at a situation where we are trying to provide at least 1 for each of the health centers. And I want to believe that the Human Resource Division of the ministry will work towards ensuring that SAN also benefits from this package. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want the Minister to give a deadline, a date specific, when a health assistant would be posted to the facility, because that is the only referral center for the entire district. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very much afraid this deadline will be very difficult for me to give at the moment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question.